Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing for Monday, the 10th of March. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How goes it, Chris?
Oh, good. First time we've spoken since pre-match on Thursday. How was your Thursday evening?
yeah, it was fantastic. Yep, absolutely superb trip. Loved every minute of it. I think it was a turn up for the books. I don't think many envisaged what would happen on the pitch on Thursday, but a real welcome result. And let's hope the Rangers can finish the job off on Thursday. What did you make of it, Chris? Because you were over in the press gantry. It was a bit of a long day for you. I'm not too sure if you got much shut-eye, but what did you make of the events that unfolded on Thursday night?
I think anybody that watched our pre-match show on Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon, as it was for us, will know I didn't really fancy Rangers' chances of coming away with a win. I thought that they could keep themselves in it and keep it tight and come back with a draw or a narrow defeat. That would give them a really good chance then heading into the second leg. You're leaving on Thursday to go back to the hotel, and then leaving on Friday morning to get back up the road, and it's you're just wondering how Rangers did not win by more. Also, those two Cerny, the two Dessers goals, they're chopped off by the finest of fine margins. They were also like the headline ones, but there's other chances in there. There's Jeffries down the left in the first half, Raskin's in a sound position, chances in the second half. Rangers could easily have had this tie done and dusted heading into the second leg. At 3-1, got themselves in a great position. Ibrox on a Thursday night could be. There's been some great nights there over the last 5, 6, 7 years or so. This one could be right up there. I mean, you had all the ingredients into it. Mourinho on the touchline, Fenerbahce coming, needing to find a performance and try and find a result. It could just be one of the great ones. But I think as Barry spoke about in his press conference, there's maybe 4 or 5 player interviews done in the mix zone afterwards. The last of which is James Tavernier's, that people can read on the site at 12 and see on the YouTube channel at 12 today. This message of it's not done, it's not over yet, there's still a lot of work to do, that was clearly hammered home to the players in the immediate aftermath, because everyone said the same thing. Barry continually made that point in his press conference as well. So I think as long as people go to Ibrox not thinking, well, it's done, Fenerbahce beat, Rangers are through, that's not quite the case. There is still a lot of work to be done. But when you watch the level of performance and how Thursday night unfolded, Rangers need to be heading in there with such huge confidence, because it wasn't a smash and grab. They were not lucky on the night. They were really, really accomplished on the night. Barry got it spot on. The players held up their end of the bargain. And we then add in the Ibrox factor and the home crowd. It's all set up for Rangers to go and get themselves into European quarter-final once again.
Yep, cannot wait for it. Ibrox will be rocking, there's no doubt about that. And let's hope Rangers can go and finish the job off. It really should have been finished off in Turkey. I'm not having that first disallowed goal from Cyril Dessers. I mean, how far are we taking the lines here? The guy's shoulder is offside. I mean, come on. It's an absolute joke, tell you that. And it should have been 4. The other one as well was marginal, of course, but that's more offside, I guess, than that one with Dessers. But what I said on Friday when I was on with Joshua, Chris, is that often when VAR decisions go against you, it gives the opposition team and the fan base a bit of a lift. The fact that 2 decisions went against Rangers, I was thinking to myself, well, here we go. Fenerbahce are going to come back and get a result here. But it just shows you the mentality in that team in European nights to not let it affect them and then go and score a third goal, a legitimate third goal.
Again, I think Cyril actually mentioned that in the mix zone post-match of that point. It could easily have been a decisive moment for all the wrong reasons. It could easily have flipped the whole momentum of the night, and you're then sitting after the game thinking, well, it's one of these coulda, woulda, shoulda nights. That wasn't the case for Rangers, and as you've outlined there, they didn't let it get to them. They kept on going. They kept creating their chances, and they were solid defensively. I thought the boys in the middle of the park were outstanding. Three of them individually and collectively all played very well. And I say that mentality, it's just something that they're able to show on these European nights. Now, the question was raised immediately after the game and has been made many times since. How can you do that against Fenerbahce away? But you look at even just the 3 previous games at Ibrox, Queens, St Mirren and Motherwell, and just be so off it and be so bad. That's just the squad. That's a question that only they can answer. And I don't think they even have the answers. Now, Cyril mentioned it, James Tavernier mentions it in the interview that's going out later on today. I don't think they really know how it unfolds and how it happens and why it happens. I know a lot of people say, well, a different style in Europe, and also the opposition have more of the ball. It is a squad and a team that's more built and is more suited to the European style. But even in terms of like the pressing and the tackling and the energy levels, Rangers just look more up for it in these European games than they do in a number of domestic games. It almost suits them to be the underdog. I think it's not just a tactical thing. It has to be a mental thing. There has to be a mentality aspect to it, to why they're able to raise their game and why they're able to perform against opposition like this, but not domestically. So yes, it's good in one way because it shows that they do have it within them to go and beat teams like Fenerbahce and to go and produce results and performances like we've seen in Europe this season. But that's not going to win you Premiership titles. That's not going to get you into the Champions League, and ultimately, that's not going to keep you at Rangers for very long. So, if it is a mentality thing, they have to sort it out because they've shown once again they do have the quality, but it takes more than that to be a Rangers player. And I think that's one of the things that Barry has really tried to kind of hammer home to this squad over the last couple of weeks. Yes, you can be a good player. You can be a good enough player to get yourself a Rangers shirt. If you don't have the mentality, you won't keep that shirt for very long.
Yep. Rab Harris gets it bang on for me on the offside rule. He says offside rule should be if there's the daylight between the players and then you're offside. Absolutely, Rab. I'd bring that in, but I very much doubt we will see that anytime soon. But very unhappy at certainly that first Cyril Dessers offside decision, I've got to say. Just a bit of admin before we carry on, before I forget, of course, as you all know, the Rangers Review now brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, and head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs, so start your search today. And remember, if you want to get your point across, you have to be a subscriber to the channel. It is totally free, of course, to subscribe to the Rangers Review. But make sure you hit that subscribe button to get your point across. Right, let's get to some of the points actually that have came in, because I've started a good few of them. And I like this from Unknown. He says, can Barry pull off a Roberto Di Matteo? I touched on this with, I think it was on with Johnny last week, and the prospect of Barry Ferguson. Well, just not exactly taking Rangers to European glory, but doing well enough to be in the conversation for the permanent manager position in the summer. And I did say if he did perform a repeat of Roberto Di Matteo, he could very well be in that discussion, although Chelsea giving the job permanently to him didn't exactly work. So, listen, the new owners that are going to come in, Chris, we've said it before, I think they're going to have their own man in mind. I've seen some names hovering about over the weekend. One comes as no surprise. He's been linked ever since Philip Clement was dismissed, and that is a return for Steven Gerrard. But at this moment in time, it's all just speculation.
I think when it comes to Barry, it would take something extraordinary, like getting to a European final or potentially winning it, for him to be in the conversation. I would still be surprised if he's the Rangers manager heading into next season. You look at the other kind of list of names that's doing the rounds. For me, there's no one that's jumping out. The bookies always provide these lists of names, and rather than crossing in who you would like to actually be in this conversation, you almost get crossing them out. There's not a lot of them are overly exciting for me right now.
No.
I think as we mentioned after after Clement was sacked, and obviously talking a lot about the takeover. It's hard to know. We still don't really know what level of finance the new owners and the new executives, new investors, what do they want to put into a manager? Are you looking at the same kind of wage bill, or do they want to say, look, the manager's the most important person at the football club, let's go and put £4 or £5 million a year into it? That takes you into a different bracket in terms of who you can potentially attract. Now, the argument then is, well, can a manager at £5 million a year ever be value for money for Rangers, given the other financials on the table? Potentially not. You're requiring a lot of European success for that to play out. So there will be a number of names doing the rounds until the takeover is complete. I think it'd be jumping the gun to say it will be X, Y, or Z, because there's a lot of work to be done first. The takeover has to happen first. If for some bizarre reason that doesn't happen, then Rangers are in a very difficult situation. We expect it to happen, fully confident that it will happen. That then changes the financial picture. Of course, changes the people that are sitting around about the boardroom, table, and that then opens Rangers up to a whole new world of potential possibilities. So, anyone that says it's definitely going to be X, Y, or Z, I think they're somewhat jumping the gun at present.
Yep, I'm sure it'll all become clear in the coming weeks, that's for sure, with regards to who will take over the helm. But certainly said it before, if Barry Ferguson can negotiate past these two European matches, then it does himself the world of good. It's not often that you get the opportunity to take on Jose Mourinho, and he's certainly in the driving seat on the tie and getting past what is one of the greatest managers of all time. But I very much expect we'll get the full Jose Mourinho playbook between now and Thursday night. I'm sure the mind games will be in full swing. Expect that, folks. Interestingly, this from Paul, he raises a point, Derek, does Barry go with the same formation or change it and play two strikers? Those of you that are Rangers Review Extra members, I had two Moroccan lads on last night, Usama and Issam, who are podcasters. They had Issam Sharai on a podcast, on their podcast a wee while ago. So I had them on to discuss the Rangers coach. And interestingly, they watched the game on Thursday night and they said it was exactly how Issam Sharai set up his Moroccan under-23 side that went on and won the African Nations Cup a couple of seasons ago. They couldn't get over the similarities in it. So I'm thinking to myself, he has had a real say in this, and that Rangers getting the result in Turkey on Thursday. Also asked them if they expect Rangers to play the same way as they did in Istanbul, and they very much think that the Rangers will do that. They'll get a lot of joy by just basically inviting Fenerbahce onto them. But as Paul says there, Chris, do you play the same way at Ibrox, or do you go out there all guns blazing, if you like, and try and get the tie killed off pretty early on?
I think there's a theory of if Rangers score, that should be enough. If Rangers can get the first goal, you would imagine that could deflates Fenerbahce even more, and it puts a real downer on them. It makes the job really, really difficult for them to try and qualify on the night. I wouldn't expect Rangers, though, to be too adventurous. I think the way that Barry lined them up on Thursday was spot on. Now, we spoke about it a bit on Thursday morning, kind of going through some of the permutations and some of what he said at his press conference, and some of the decisions were more surprising than others. Didn't expect him to change it up that much in terms of the shape of the back line, but you have to say it worked. Also thought really interesting, both Barry and a couple of the players saying we've not had a lot of time to work on this. It was basically a 24 hours, one training session. This is how we're going to do it. You show them the right videos, you show them the right clips, you do a bit of work on the training ground, and then you go and put it into action. My mind that kind of cast back to when Clement was asked a few weeks ago, or a couple of months ago now, about changing the structure of the side and changing the setup of it. And paraphrasing, he said along the lines of, "There's not enough time to do that. It would cause more issues than it would solve problems." not exactly how it unfolded on Thursday night. That if Rangers had gone into that game on Thursday night with Clement as manager, I think we know what the style of the side would have been. So fair play to Barry. He could easily have thought, oh, well, this has worked for Clement. Let's just go and do the same thing again. Had his own idea. How many staff are able to put it into action, and so they certainly got the rewards. I would be surprised if he goes too far away from that now. I think it worked so well. You know that Fenerbahce, now they're not going to come and go all guns blazing either. They will have to be on the front foot. I think Rangers will be happy to give them enough of the ball, and you then try and use likes of Cerny. Certainly, if Dessers can produce a similar performance as Thursday night, that would give Rangers a number of opportunities. You would think Fenerbahce do look there to be exploited. I was surprised at how easy Rangers found it to play through them at times. I mentioned earlier on the midfield three were excellent. Cerny was obviously a real threat. Dessers was absolutely terrific on the night. And you look at those same players again, if they're at that same level, I think Fenerbahce will find it really, really difficult. So I would be surprised if Rangers go too far away from what we saw. And personnel-wise, obviously time will tell. As long as everyone has come through training over the last couple of days, Barry will speak to us at the press Wednesday afternoon. If everyone is available and good to go, I think we'll see a fairly similar Rangers performance.
Yeah, let's hope so, and let's hope, I was going to say in the hat for Friday's draw, but we already know one of the two teams that we will be facing, either Roma or Athletic Bilbao. Roma 2-1 up from the first leg in Rome, a stoppage time winner for Claudio Ranieri's men, but it's going to be difficult for them over in Bilbao. If you had to choose one team to go and play, Chris, who would it be?
I've never been to Rome, never been to Bilbao. I'll save that one for the final. So let's go for Rome for the first one. Just we'll tick that one off the list in terms of the trips. And I say we'll save going back to Spain until the final. But I think that's a really difficult tie. We spoke ahead of this round about how tricky Fenerbahce could be, in Fenerbahce where I think they were the toughest opponent that Rangers could have got in this last 16 stage. I don't think there's much between any of the potential quarter-final opponents, but that would be a really difficult tie, regardless of who Rangers get. But of course, the most important thing is getting there first, and so I think everyone will take on board the message from Barry and from the players over the last couple of days that this is not done yet.
Yep, still work to do, of course. Only half time. I know Joshua hates that phrase, but Rangers need to go out there and finish the job. Let's move on to a bit of news over the weekend, because, of course, there was no Rangers game. It was Scottish Cup weekend. Still grinds my gears that Rangers weren't involved, but there you go. Queen's Park, who knocked out Rangers, just taken apart by Aberdeen, as you would have expected up at Pittodrie. But a bit of news over the weekend in terms of players. We're going to touch on first with Václav Cerny, because his agent, David Nehoda, has poured cold water on prospects of Rangers extending his stay in an interview with a Czech media outlet. This is what he had to say, folks. He says, "I can't say what will happen next, but I don't think it's very realistic for him to stay at Rangers. His contract at Wolfsburg ends in the summer of 2027, so I would assume that the club will want to recall him, or there will be interested parties who would like to buy him. There is already interest from France and Italy. I know Václav's ambitions to return to one of the top 5 leagues in Europe." But it does say that Václav is enjoying life at Rangers. He says everything has worked out beautifully for him since his loan spell in the Europa League. Václav has shown what an exceptional player he is at Rangers. His coaches and teammates trust him, the fans applaud him, and he has a great family background. He is calm, and everything is reflected in his well-being and performances. The style in which Rangers play is tailor-made for him. That's exactly how he likes it. So there you go. In layman's terms, just enjoy him while you can.
I think we can. You don't need to read too much between the lines on those particular comments, do you? I think we spoke about it over the last couple of months, and it's always the danger. You look at Sima, you look at Tillman. They say never fall in love with a lone player, and I think that's certainly the case for Rangers fans this season. It's turned out to be a really good bit of business for Rangers in terms of getting Cerny in, and you look at the impact that he's been able to have. but it's probably just not going to work out for Rangers. Again, difficult to look ahead to the summer too much because we don't know what the transfer budget's going to be. We don't know who the manager's going to be. You would think that whoever the manager is, they would like to have someone of Cerny's quality. Certainly, look at his goals and his assists, his contribution overall over the course of the season has been really impressive. But it doesn't sound like his agent's not exactly saying put several £1 million on the table and X number of £1,000 a week, and he's yours. So the fact that he has options from a number of other clubs, a number of other countries, that's not a surprise. Performances like Thursday night, yes, they're great for Rangers at the time, but they're only going to alert other clubs to the level that Cerny can actually operate at. So it doesn't sound overly optimistic, and Rangers will once again go into a transfer window needing to solve that wide berth problem once again.
Yeah, that's the issue, of course. You mentioned there Tillman, Seema's another one, and I think in the summertime Cerny will leave Rangers. I'd imagine, as his agent says there, that there will be interest in him if he continues in this rich scoring vein, certainly in the Europa League. Then I can't imagine he'll be short of offers in the summer, and I think he'll go for quite a substantial fee if, of course, Wolfsburg don't want to recall him and start playing him in their team. I think they paid £8 million for him at the time to bring him to Wolfsburg. So, listen, he's a quality player, and let's hope he can do the business on Thursday as well. But, I very much doubt he'll be a Rangers player next season. One player who I do hope will be a Rangers player next season, but if there's a mega money offer that comes in, Chris, then he may be off skate. Now, Africa Foot claims that Sevilla and Marseille are interested in Hamza Igamane, and they also say that several English, Spanish and French clubs are keen on a future move for Igamane. Now, this comes off the back of being called up to the Moroccan squad for the first time, and he hasn't scored in a number of weeks, Hamza Igamane, but he has been included in that senior setup for their World Cup double header, Morocco taking on Niger and Tanzania. So well done to Hamza for that. I very much hope he gets his first call up and he comes back from international duty unscathed, and we don't see an Horatio Cashin Weirjo similar outcome with regards to that. But I think that's deserved, despite not scoring and being off the boil recently, Chris. I think it's deserved for Hamza. And again, this interest that's been reported, not a real surprise, I guess. He's someone that since he burst onto the scene at Rangers, there has been other teams keeping tabs on him, shall we say.
There will be a number of clubs. These kind of stories, they're only going to ramp up as we get towards the summer window, and then as we can work our way through the summer. It's not had he's not had a great few weeks. I think that's safe to say. I don't think the setup of the team and what he's been asked to do in the last couple of weeks, I don't think that's helped him. I made the pitch for him to start on Thursday night, proven spectacularly wrong, I have to say. So I'm willing to take.
Although you got the midfield bang on, Chris. You got Barron in there, which was kudos to you for that.
I got one call right. Thankfully, Barry didn't listen to me when picking his number 9 for that particular night. As I said earlier on, Dessers was excellent and fully deserved that. I feel like he repaid Barry's faith in him. Igamane, though, he's still going to have a part to play in this tie. He's still going to have a part to play in the coming weeks, or a couple of firm games coming up as well. Who knows what the remainder of the European campaign will bring. So he's had a really impressive breakthrough season. Also, it took him a bit of time. He then went through that real purple patch. Now that night in Nice was such a big night for him, and as you touched on there, he certainly deserves this international recognition. Interested to see how he does at that level. If he could get a couple of goals, that maybe can boost his confidence a wee bit, and then come back to Rangers with even more of a kind of feel-good factor around about him. So, as I said there, his future and his status as a Rangers player is going to be discussed quite a lot over the coming months. He's clearly a player that's got a lot of potential improvement in him. And I think when there was Everton that were kind of linked with him during the January window, people started kind of banding figures round about of what's it going to take. Rangers will be in a situation, certainly with the new investment coming from the new owners, they're not going to have to take the first offer that comes in here. If someone comes in with 10 million or so, it's not going to be enough. It's going to have to be club record style fees that's going to convince Rangers to do business. They're going to be in the type of market now where they don't have to sell. They don't have to sell an asset like that to try and kind of fund a rebuild over the summer. Players will move on. There will still be movement both in and out over the course of the window, but the takeover changes the dynamic a wee bit. So someone like Igamane, who you say, well, has to go because we need 3 players. It's not a case of, well, it doesn't have to go because we can still bring in 2 or 3 and we can build something a bit more round about him. I think there'll be talk over Dessers, there will be talk over Danilo. I think if you gave the fans the choice right now, you could keep one. I think Igamane one that's Igamane age and profile and potential. Igamane's the one that people are going to want to hold on to.
Yeah, and I'm also keeping Cyril Dessers, by the way. I think I know people go on about his age and what have you, but if you're not getting a substantial fee for him, you bring in a replacement that's going to bring you the goals that he has done. I mean, I know he frustrates the life out of fans, of course, but his goal return, it can't be sniffed at, and I'd imagine he'll be leading the line again on Thursday night. Like you, Chris, I think many that have seen that starting lineup on Thursday would have been thinking the forward line, Cyril Dessers, really. I know I was getting pelters when I had him in my predicted 11, but so he certainly showed why he was deserving of that starting berth. Jose Mourinho says he looked like one of the best players in the world. Well, Fenerbahce made him look like that. If he can do the business again on Thursday, then happy days. But what's your viewpoint on Dessers at this moment in time? He's someone that, I mean, it's hard not to like the guy. You spoke to him in the mix zone, of course, and he just keeps coming back, doesn't he? Even if he misses chances, we know he's got the right mentality and he's right in form as well at the moment.
He's in excellent form, not just on Thursday night in terms of the goals, but it was his all round showing. And you think back to impressive Rangers performances in Europe over recent seasons, and there's been so much talk about Morelos and the way that he led the line and almost dominated entire back fours himself by pulling players out of position, by bullying centre halves, by scoring big goals, by being the guy that the team could rely on. That was a Dessers performance in that mould on Thursday night. He put in a power of work, and even if you take the goals out of it, he could easily have ended up with a hat-trick and easily have ended up with nothing at all, because the one that he did get, that was, we talked about fine margins earlier on, that was the finest of fine margins to actually give that one. He could easily have been sitting in the dressing room with a hat-trick, or sitting thinking, if only Soyuncu hadn't got his toe in that one. So his
pass as well, Chris. His pass for Cerny's goal was, I mean, it's world class. There's no two ways about it. That him and Raskin's passes in that game were, I mean, we should be talking about them for years on end. They were magnificent. No,
and it shows what he is capable of, and it makes the domestic performances where he's isolated and frustrated and plodding about, and makes them all the more frustrating, because you know the level that you can be at. You think of other European goals this season. Think back to Betis last season, where he scored that remarkable goal that we watched from the back of that stand, and you know what he is capable of. I think too often the domestic performances, he's almost been a victim rather than the cause, because if Rangers are not at it, if they don't give him the right support, don't give him the right service, it makes him look worse than he's perhaps performing in these matches. But as you said there, you can't knock the goal return. You certainly can't knock the mentality. And you're looking ahead to Thursday night. He's definitely going to start. He's the man that has to. Even I'm not going to keep him out of my predicted team this time around. It's going to be Dessers, and he keeps coming back for more. I've given him a fair bit of criticism for certain performances over his time, but the point I've continually made is about his mentality, how he keeps coming back for more, how he gets it, he understands Rangers as a club and a fan base, and that, as we touched on earlier on, that's such a big part of being a Rangers player. You can have all the talent in the world, if you don't have the mentality to go with it, you're never going to be a success at this football club, and that's what Dessers brings to the party. That mentality for me has never been doubted. If he can keep turning it on at that level in terms of his ability, so Rangers have got a really good striker on their hands. But that's always the big what if with Cyril Dessers.
Yeah, and of course, a well-deserved recall to the Nigerian national team as well last week. So, yeah, congratulations, Cyril. Go and do the business with the Super Eagles and come back unscathed as well. And, yeah, we'll be happy with that. But, yeah, fantastic. He's in great form. It's a strange week, this one, for Rangers, because two massive games coming up. Fenerbahce, then Celtic on Sunday. It's a very rare occasion when the bigger game is not the Old Firm game, Chris. But, this is, of course, the Rangers season hinges on this game against Fenerbahce. It's imperative to go and finish the job off. But, yeah, cannot wait for the game as we build up to the match at Ibrox. At this point, I'm just going to address this from Curry Muncher. He says, new cam, Derek, or have you upgraded from wind-up internet? Oh, I'm back in Blighty, Curry. So both myself and Chris back in the UK after a little jaunt over to Istanbul. When did you get back in, Chris? Because it was a real long day for you, wasn't it? An early flight back did you fly to London and back up to Edinburgh?
No, straight back into Edinburgh, thankfully. By the time we got the mix zone wrapped up and got everything written post-match, got back to the hotel about 1 o'clock or so, I think, maybe the back of 1. So decided just to stay up, work through a couple of features. People will have seen the interviews with Dessers and Conor Barron on the site over the last couple of days. We also had the big interview with Cole McKinnon on the site as well. So I had a wee bit of work to do post-match. Taxi picked us up about 4:30. And the flight back up road was actually okay. Not the comfiest of planes, unfortunately. The Turkish airline one out was certainly comfier than the one on the way back. But get back into Edinburgh about 10:15 or so, I think, and then back in the house from there. So it wasn't that bad. A long day. Managed to get a wee half-hour kip in the afternoon, but we managed to get through Friday. And when you have a result and a performance like that, it's much easier to make these journeys and write the follow-up stuff when you're talking about a result and a performance like Rangers were able to produce the night before. So it wasn't that bad in the end. And as we touched on earlier on, we'll see what the next one brings and whether we're hopefully heading to Spain or Italy. But we'll get this one won first on Thursday night, hopefully.
Yeah, I was on a late flight on Friday night, and yeah, the amount of guys who'd went over and get hair transplants is quite incredible. There's about half a dozen, or there was more than that on my flight. It was quite something. Many of them heading out. There was a guy heading out as well that was getting his teeth done. He was concerned because our flight, of course, was delayed a fair bit, and he went over to get his teeth done, and he'd missed his dentist appointment. So unlucky for him. But yeah, there you go. Just a quick mention here that I missed last week to Scottish Treks. He kindly donated to the channel. Donated a £5 with his message that said, Derek, thought you'd like to know the train conductor noticed I was listening to the Rangers review the other day and never charged me for a ticket. So absolutely superb stuff. Love hearing little stories like that. So yeah, thank you for the donation. And yeah, it certainly made me smile, that little story there. So excellent. Right, just a heads up, folks. I think those of you that are extra members on the YouTube channel will record our weekly Q&A show today. As I mentioned earlier on, I spoke to two Moroccan lads about Issam Sharai yesterday, so you can go and catch that. Very interesting stuff. Gives us an insight into Issam as a coach and why he has stuck around at Rangers. He certainly is a master tactician by the looks of things, and as I touched on earlier on, he certainly had played his part in Thursday night's win against Fenerbahce. So you can go and watch that. I'll be on tomorrow morning alongside Stevie, so hope you can join us for that 9:30 as ever. But until then, if I don't speak to you later, then enjoy the rest of your Monday. Bye for now.